welcome to the 12 Man Insight Podcast. I'm Mo. I'm here with your boy Tommy. Tommy, you have failed us as a Dallas native, man. You told us Micah Parsons was not getting traded. Obviously, we start with the big news in the NFL. So how did you feel when you saw the news, and what's going on in Dallas? What are the fans and Cowboys fans saying over there?
Well, I found out because my roommate he like saw a post on social media and he's like, look at this. I was like, nah, you're lying. Like it's whatever. And he's like, no, I like get on Twitter and sure enough, Michael Parsons is a Packer. I'm surprised. I think everyone in this city was pretty surprised, because you see that all the time with contract negotiations, right? You want to get leverage, like, oh, I want out until you get paid. And I thought the Trey Hendrickson deal, they were kind of just waiting on that for a baseline. I know Michael Parsons went way north of that, but I thought, maybe that would just be their baseline. And, well, the Packers made an all-in move. The city of Dallas is in complete shambles right now. Losing Luka and getting a good veteran defender in Anthony Davis and losing Micah Parsons and getting a good veteran defender in Kenny Clark. It seems like history is repeating itself a lot faster than Dallas sports fans would want it to. There's definitely a lot of frustration. I think any type of hope that Cowboys fans had going into this year has definitely dwindled a bit. That's not to say they're not a loyal fan base that wants to see their team win, but I just think that their level of excitement and hype for this upcoming season has definitely diminished a little bit.
Yeah, and that kind of shows you, man, being a GM is a full-time job, man. Like you can't be an owner and a GM, right? So because like I think Jerry Jones, maybe I don't know, he's getting a little bit older, and like he's a little bit lagging behind, but he's calling this the Herschel Walker trade, right? He's saying, hey, this is gonna be the like new, and maybe he's right. Maybe like, hey, those first round picks, late first round picks, maybe they turn into something, and maybe the Cowboys do something in the end. But man, I don't see it, man. I think I would rather let Dak go. Like if I was rebuilding the Cowboys, I would have kept Michael Parsons and let Dak walk, right? Like and just find like somebody like I would say a bridge quarterback until I find my next guy and just build my team that way. Like, what do you think about the Cowboys' philosophy when it came to building their team?
Well, first with the whole Dak Micah statement is I think I would, it's hard because if you get rid of Dak just to keep Micah, then are you the Cleveland Browns? Are you a quarterbackless team with other holes on offense but has a really good number one edge rusher? I mean, it's a tough business. I mean, especially with no quarterback alternative options out there really for Dallas. If you were to let Dak go, I mean, you're punting on the entire season. Um, I think Dak's a really good quarterback, and having him being there is going to keep them, afloat, if I may. I mean, I'm not really sure what their ceiling is at this point with a move like that and kind of what they're looking to do this year. But, letting Dak go is like a total like punt. We're tanking, especially with no clear answer, on the horizon for them. But in terms of the Cowboys, even before they traded Micah, my biggest gripe in the Cowboys is what direction are they going in? I
Mhm.
was never really sure, if they were going for it or not really going for it. They had those couple years with Dan Quinn as their DC where they were dominant. The defense was electric, forcing a lot of turnovers. Those were really fun Cowboys teams to watch, actually. And obviously, contracts and salary cap come into play, so you start to lose guys shift out, coaches leave after success. But the thing with Dallas is I just don't know their direction right now. I mean, they're stuck in no man's land. They're certainly not bad enough to be a top 10 pick team, but they're probably not good enough to make the playoffs. They're kind of
Mhm.
sitting in that weird range that nobody really likes to be in, otherwise known as no man's land, mediocrity.
Yeah.
And so I think at some point in time they need to choose a direction. I don't think Kenny Clark's a bad player by any means. Like I think they added a good player and some picks, but um right there, it just seems like, and that Micah Parsons contract is huge. Maybe they need a little bit more roster flexibility. If they get Micah, then at some point in time, like what they have right now is what they're going to get. So I
Yeah.
also see it from that perspective as well. And it's always a tough decision trading your best player. I mean, we can tell it how it is. Micah Parsons was the best player on the Cowboys.
Yeah, but look,
Yeah,
yeah, Tommy, look, I see what you mean, but let's say a year ago, you know, Dak, Jerry Jones said, okay, hey, Dak, this is a prove it year. I'm not gonna pay you. I'm gonna franchise tag you, and he gets injured, right? Basically, and he doesn't play the season. They let him walk this year. They could have either gotten Kirk Cousins way cheaper, Sam Darnold, or Geno Smith for a trade for a third round pick. Like all in that they're not better than Dak, but they're kind of like like that they can get you somewhere until you find your next guy, right? So I think basically so I that's why I think they could have found a quarterback. They could have found somebody to bridge them to the next guy, and while not paying 60 million for Dak Prescott.
I mean, I it's hard because it's also timelines. We don't know where the Cowboys were at in March when all these this whole quarterback carousel went down. We don't know what the thinking was there. Maybe they were just beginning negotiations with Micah. Um, we don't know anything, and I do think there's personality factors that went
Mm.
into this trade. I'm not saying Micah Parsons is a bad person. I don't know who he is. I don't know him personally, so I can't really speak on that. But I do think that there have been some issues that may have rubbed Jerry Jones the wrong way, it sounds like his teammates love him. It could be a PR thing. I don't know, but it did seem like there
He didn't
were
even know
some
his name. He was calling him Michael
there are
in the
yeah
press
there are
conference.
some underlying things that we might not ever know about that I also think played a factor in this going down how it did. Um, and I think we kind of saw it boil over with Micah requesting a trade and not practicing. And then, of course, we don't know if that's contract negotiation leverage or is it the real deal. And it turned out to be the real deal.
Yeah.
Um, but with Dallas, I mean, trading for George Pickens, I think he complements CD very well. I just didn't really understand. I thought they had bigger holes. I really did. And I'm not sure what a receiver, who's due to get paid soon, really does for your direction, especially now after trading your best player.
Mm-hmm.
I am a bit perplexed as to where the Cowboys really go from here. Um, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out because I think they have a lot of issues that need to be cleared up. Obviously, they just signed Deron Bland to an extension, so kind of locking up the secondary for the long term, at least their corners. But man, with Dallas, I don't know. Now, that's not to say not to completely change the subject. If we want to talk about the Packers side of this, I'm
Yeah,
cool to do that too.
yeah.
I think
Before we get into that, let's just talk about the numbers for Micah real quick. 4 years, $188 million, 136 million guaranteed, and 47 million APY. And he's due a lot of that in signing. So congratulations to Micah, man. He's now the
get
highest
paid, get paid.
get paid non-quarterback in the NFL in NFL history. So that's for the Packers. So before we talk about the Packers, um, there were speculations out there that Jerry had a handshake deal, right? Maybe like around 41 and 42 million, and then like Micah went back to his agents, and his agents told him, "Hey, are you crazy? Like, never accept that," So and so basically, right now, that's how it happened. And so do you think if it was all about cash, or do you think it was more about the personality than the cash?
No, I think
Personality clashes. Sorry.
I really think in the total end part of it, it came down to money. I mean, not everyone's going to be buddy buddy in an NFL locker room. It's just not the way. It's not the way it goes. So I ultimately with stuff like that, it does come down to money. And I don't think Micah hated it here at all. So I think ultimately, and Dallas is a great city. The Cowboys have absolutely ridiculous facilities. Um, it's a huge brand. To walk away from that has got to be a little bit more than just personality and personality clashes. It's the money. Ultimately, it came down to the money, and I know the agency that Micah has and the agent that he has, and it's one of the best sports agencies in the world. They do a great job. Athletes First. They're in like Laguna Hills, California. I think the headquarters is. I almost interned there one summer when I was in college. Really big time agency out there. They know what they're doing. Like they
Nice.
definitely know what they're doing, and so they obviously he's represented very well and has an agent that's going to make sure that he is able to get the fullest contract that he can possibly get, whether that's in Dallas or that's where else it had to be.
Okay, so now about the Packers side. So Tommy, the Packers are saying that they're all in. Hey, we're Super Bowl or bust. We're going all in. I think I think they might be the best team in the NFC right now, man. Like, just Eagles and them and Lions. With Micah Parsons, their defense was, already good last year, and the only games that they lost were to, I think, so to the Vikings, to the Lions, and to the Eagles. So three of the best teams in the NFC. So so they're banking on Jordan Love. They're saying, "Hey, go win us this thing." What are your thoughts on the Packers side, Tommy?
Um, yeah, it's an all-in move. It's exactly as they are all in. I think their window is 4 years, 4 or 5 years now. Like they're going for it. Are the Packers going to get it year one? No.
Mm,
They have one extreme fatal flaw, other than wide receiver inexperience. Like the receiver room is still has questions, and I know they drafted Matthew Golden and he's looked great, but has Matthew Golden done anything in the NFL yet? No, and that's not to say. And this is before I got 1,000 people coming from my head. Doesn't mean he's not going to. He's looked great in training camp. We just haven't seen it. So once he starts doing that, then it's a different story. But as we currently sit, that's a question.
mm.
Um, and my opinion on Matthew Golden coming out of the draft, I was not as high on him as maybe other people were. So maybe I'm a little bit still set on what I believe, but we'll have to see how it goes in the regular season. But that's not the biggest fatal flaw. I believe that the Green Bay Packers have the worst cornerback room in the entire league. And
Yeah,
I think that is going to be their fatal flaw.
yeah,
And the reason why is I'm sitting here looking at the corners. They've got good safeties. They've got good safeties. You look at that corner room. Oh, it's bad. It's concerning. And I at first when I was like, okay, like I didn't know the Packers were going to trade Kenny Clark for him, right? And so I'm sitting there like, okay, if they trade for Micah Parsons, you've got Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons on the edge. You've got Kenny Clark in the middle. Okay, so getting that pass rush, that front, that and they're very very athletic linebackers who are good at blitzing as well. That could be enough to kind of cover up the flaws on the outside in the secondary there. And I was like, okay, well they've got good safeties. They can run cover two. They can run cover two high shell all year long. Just spam that. Of course, like they're not just going to run it all every play, but that's going to be their baseline. That's their baseline defense. Because then the corners are just kind of covering that shallow intermediate area, and everything downfield is with the safeties. But the best way to get teams out of cover two is run the ball.
yeah.
Um, and if you trading your best run defender might scare me a little bit in their ability to stop the run. Jerry
Mm,
Jones said it when after he's like, we need to stop the run. Why do you trade
mm,
Micah Parsons? We need to stop the run.
mm,
Micah
mm.
Parsons is an elite pass rusher. Micah Parsons is an elite defender, an elite football player. Is run defense his strongest part? No.
Mm.
I think that I'm worried about the Packers when they play Philly. I don't think they're
Yeah.
better than Philly. I don't.
Mm.
Because here's the problem. Philly's going to go out there, establish a run with two really good receivers
Yeah.
against their corners. I mean, we saw what JSN did in joint practice against their corners. I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of silly. Um, so I'm worried about the Packers in that sense. I do think there's some holes that teams are going to try to exploit this year, and I'm not sure they have the personnel on the outside to stop that. Could they
Yeah.
make a trade? Could they make a late ad? Absolutely. But as we currently sit right now, that corner room is the worst in the league. I mean, that's a huge issue. That is going to be their fatal flaw, in my opinion. I don't think they would beat Philly when it came down to it with the balance that Philly has, and I think they can attack them in the right ways. Um, I'm not saying it wouldn't be. I'm not saying Philly's going to go destroy them. You know, like
Yeah.
that's not what's going to happen. But I just think that when it comes down to it, we're in January, end of the season. Guys are beat up. I think Philly's going to come with a physicality that Green Bay might not be able to match in that time point, and I think that could be a problem. I think Detroit's a bad matchup for him. Talking about
Yeah.
running the ball,
Yeah.
I
They still got
like
some. They lost some pieces like Glasgow and all that, but I think they're still good.
I mean, Detroit and Philly are built a little similarly,
Yeah.
like can run the ball, has two quality receivers on the outside, a tight end that is very capable of catching passes. I don't, I got to really start to see Green Bay to like, I got to see it before I can, start to crown them anything because I do have some concerns even after the trade for that roster and how it's currently built. But as I
Yeah.
said this year, they've got time to bolster that and really really go get it. So, I mean, if you can go get a guy like Micah Parsons, you got to do it though at any cost. I mean, it's a no
Yeah.
brainer. I mean, the guy is on pace to be a Hall of Famer. Like he's 26, one of the best pass rushers in the league, best defensive players in the league. Just got to go do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Green Bay. I think they're gonna reach far, man. As you said, yeah, you're right. There's some holes, but man, I think, man, if if Micah Parsons can get you like 12, 13 sacks, I mean, even more than that, man, I think you can go, especially in the playoffs. That's when things really matter. I think that's going to be a huge beneficial benefit for them. And maybe this defensive coordinator, like this the guy they got last year, who's been cooking. Maybe maybe he has a plan for them, or maybe they like their rookies. I don't know, but they have a
Yeah,
plan. I
I
think so.
mean, Jeff Hafley, the DC in Green Bay, he's got some fun tools at his expense right now. I think he's a smart guy. He's a great DC. He was at Boston College before, and I think he will do good things. And like Rashawn Gary paired with Micah Parsons, just tell it how it is. That's scary. I mean,
Yeah,
Rashawn
that's
Gary's a
yeah,
great player too.
yeah,
That's
great
that's
player.
quite that is quite the duo on the edge there. Um, I would be so frustrated to be a tackle in the NFC North right now. I
Yeah,
would be very, very frustrated to be a tackle in the NFC North. That's a very, very elite pass rush duo there.
man, I'm looking forward to the week 4 Green Bay against the Cowboys, and I'm gonna watch that game. I'm gonna see like, hey, what is Michael Parsons gonna do? Maybe he's gonna have a monster game against Dak Prescott, but really fun game to watch. And but hey, moving on. So what is a lot of people on Twitter talking about the Seahawks. Hey, did the Seahawks fumble this? And I put a question out there, and there were some mixed feelings. Some people said the Seahawks did fumble this. They should have gone and getting Micah. And a lot of people, though, the majority of people said, oh no, we didn't have the cap space, and that was just too much money for the Seahawks and too much picks for the Seahawks to give out right now. So because since they're really close to being they're like 1 or 2 years away to becoming like a really elite team. Like I think maybe one more offseason away of becoming like an elite team. So it doesn't make sense, giving out the picks for Micah. But I think if the Seahawks did want to make this, if they wanted to go all in, they could have. They had Adam Dirty there. They had like some familiarity. Maybe Demarcus Lawrence and um, Micah, they don't like each other, so maybe that doesn't work in the locker room. But what are your thoughts of Seahawks? Did the Seahawks fumble this? What do you think?
No, I mean you can't fumble something that costs that much. That's an investment. Like you have to be all in on that. So I don't think they fumbled anything. And we had a lot of guys in the building that are connected to Micah Parsons.
Mm,
If it had to be done, it would have been done, in my opinion. I think we would have been willing to do something similar to get that done if it felt if John Schneider got the right words. Like I don't think the Seahawks would have hesitated. But with something that expensive in terms of assets giving up and the contract, I mean, you have to be all in. There's no fumbling that. There's no half in, half out like that. That is something you have to be certain of because that is huge investment. Like this, anytime you're training for a guy like that, it's an all in move. So it's go time. Your window widens in the short term, and the hinges get a little loose in the long term, and could be ready to close. So I think with Seattle, especially with the Jamal Adams trade, I
Oof!
mean,
Don't
you look
remind me of
back
that,
and
man.
that was
Oh,
that was exciting. That was so exciting in the moment, and
yeah,
it blew up right in their face and set them back so far. So I think there is some hesitation in that department too, just to not just as we start to build ourselves up from the setback that was. We don't want to just put all our chips back in and see what happens again. Like, 'cause I same deal though. I don't know if us trading for Micah Parsons puts us over Philly in this current day. That's how I
yeah,
see it. Like, does a trade like this that requires 2 first-round picks, a really good player, and then of course paying a player more on average than Patrick Mahomes? Does that,
yeah,
like, you are looking like, are we going to the Super Bowl or not? Really,
yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
exactly.
and I don't know if I would have been able to confidently like, I would say it, don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah,
I don't know if I, like, deep down in my heart would be able to confidently say it and believe it, like, oh yeah, we are like we have the best chance to do it. There's no
yeah,
guarantees, but they just like, is that the best chance? And I don't think Seattle fumbled it though. I think that's not the case at all. I don't think that's the grief we should be giving Seattle either. I mean,
yeah,
every team had a chance to do it, and
yeah,
they didn't. And I think the Seahawks, out of a lot of these teams, knew a lot about Micah, had the guys in the building that know Micah, and we didn't do it. So I think we should take comfort in that and just keep moving forward with who we have.
yeah. Check this out. I don't think in the last decade, maybe you can correct me, Tommy. In the last decade, like I don't remember a team giving out multiple first round picks and succeeding except Matthew Stafford. I think that's the only like trade I remember, like a team being successful giving out multiple first round picks. And but if you look at the Jamal Adams, the Khalil Mack, the Russell Wilson, like most of the trades that you see, that involves multiple first round picks, they don't pan out.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think we have seen a trade to this magnitude, though. I mean, Khalil Mack was great when he got traded to Chicago, but I mean, this we're talking about it like this is one of the biggest trades we have seen in our lifetime in this league. I mean,
Mm.
Micah Parsons is about as great as it gets in terms of available players for trade. Like, I mean, teams don't normally let talent like that go. So it's a very rare situation where, like, this might actually work. I mean, he is that good. He really is that good. And he, like I said, we don't see it as much it working out because players to Micah's caliber don't become available for trade very often. That's how I see it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Tommy. Let's talk about some of the news out there in Seahawks world. So, Mike McDonald, he came out in the press conference and he has confirmed the starting offensive lineman for your Seattle Seahawks. So that's at left tackle, we have Charles Cross, and left guard, Gray Zabel. Center, Jalen Sundell. My goodness. And, beating Olu Timmy. And right guard, you got your boy Anthony Bradford, who still won the job, man. After so much criticism, he won the job. And kudos to Anthony Bradford, man. And at right tackle, you got Abe Lucas. So, what do you think about this starting lineup, man? And what are your thoughts about Jalen Sundell, winning the job, man, as an undrafted rookie from last year from North Dakota State? So beating Olu Watimi.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. There's a lot to be excited about. Another year, Charles Cross. He's been great. Nothing else to say there. Charles Cross has been great. That was a good pick from the start. Charles Cross is continuing to develop, still so young. Love Charles Cross. Get that extension done. Get that
Yeah,
extension
we
done
need that
now.
extension done. Yeah, yeah, that's like
Zach Tom just got paid by Green Bay. I think that's our baseline. Go get it done. And he's gonna have to
yeah,
top that now. Unfortunately, like, we're gonna have to top that number, but let's get that done. That should be a no brainer. And then obviously Gray Zabel looked great in the preseason. First round pick this year. Really excited to see what he does in the regular season. let's just see it. I don't. I mean, it looked great in the preseason. We saw what we saw, but I'm ready to see it. When it really matters and
Mm-hmm.
see how it goes. And then Jalen Sundell at center. Yeah, I'm excited. And obviously he knows Gray Zabel from their time at North Dakota State. So I think there was a bit of chemistry there already built,
Yeah.
a connection there. And so, uh, Jalen Sundell went out and won that job. He obviously was a part of the offensive line that looked very, very great this preseason. It sounds like they like I said last week. Sounds like they've been communicating well, and it does start up there in the center. So yeah, good job, Jalen Sundell, winning the job. Excited to see what he does this year starting.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Bradford, good for him to go win the job. We've had our doubts about Anthony Bradford, and I think rightfully so. But I have a lot of confidence in the staff and what they saw in him this offseason to go and get and trust him to start again. And I mean, and not just trust him to start again. Anthony Bradford did some things this training camp that were very great for him to be back in the spot because I think he was on a really short leash this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, good job. I'm really excited to see if he is taking this next step. We don't need him to be great. We don't need Anthony Bradford to be great, but take a step from where he was, and that would be very good. And then Abe
Yeah.
Lucas, I mean, the same deal. Abe Lucas, not much to say there. When he plays, he is great. When he
Yeah.
plays, availability is the best ability, and that's one thing that he has struggled with in his NFL career, and I think that's one of his biggest knocks.
Mm.
So if he can stay healthy this year, I love this group. I think that this is a very capable group and with a chance to be a good group. And I am really, really excited to see how that goes, especially with the new offensive scheme. And if we can really run the ball this year, I mean, the sky's the limit, for this offense with what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, you remember Ray Roberts, right? Tommy, we had him on the
Yeah,
show, talking
yeah.
about the Seahawks. Shout out to Ray. So he was talking about, man. I was listening to him, and he was talking about Anthony Bradford, and he was like, he would play. He's gonna play elite for 5 snaps, and then a few more other snaps. He's gonna look lost. So, and he was talking about, hey, if Anthony Bradford could be consistent, he can be like a really good player in this league, and hugely contribute to the Seahawks. Like, you know, and I know you saw him in college and you were following him, when doing the scouting process. Was that a part of some of the flaws of Anthony Bradford, and did he need to be coached up, or maybe like
Yeah,
be more
I
hungry?
thought discipline was a big knock on him. I know scouts that had him off the board entirely because his lack of discipline. People were very worried about that. That was a red flag. Um, but I do think that he's shown, some good things. Like Ray Roberts said, is like there are stats where like, whoa, like this guy is he's capable. He can do this. And then there's other stats where it's like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a roller coaster ride with him. But he's right. If he can find some consistency, and I think that does come with discipline, like he could be a very good player in this league and help us out mightily. So, but yeah, I mean, pre-draft there were red flags I've heard from teams that did not take him, and so that those weren't hidden. Some of these things that he has, they were not hidden. They were known before, and the Seahawks still drafted him, and hopefully this year he can put it together a little bit, and that would be huge for us.
Yeah, yeah. The youngest offensive line, one of the, if not the youngest, one of the youngest offensive line in the league, man. I'm super excited to see these guys grow together. And hey, if they ball this year, man, if they're a dominant force, I'm gonna apologize to John Schneider because he said like, hey, I drafted the guys, like I know what these guys can do. It's up to the coaching staff, and he changed the coaching staff. So and they brought some more minds to coach these guys and develop these guys up. So I'm gonna apologize to John Schneider and that front office if things go well. But yeah, looks promising right now, man. And also was listening to Brian Baldinger, man. The guy, he was on the radio show, and he was asked a question by Brock and Salk, and the question was, if you could buy one, like like a stock of somebody's earnings on this offensive line, like for the next 10 years, like if you could buy like a piece of their earnings, right, for the next 10 years, who would that be? I would have chosen Charles Cross, right? And I'm like, hey, Charles Cross is going to probably get paid, a lot of money. So, I would bet on him. But, he chose Gray Zabel, which was really interesting. And he was like, oh, Gray Zabel is going to outplay everybody in this offensive line. So he's going to be here for years and years until he's like very old. So what are your thoughts on that comment from Brian Baldinger?
Um, I mean that's promising. I love that. How could you not when you hear that about your first round pick? I still think I would take Charles Cross. I thought he's been great. He's still so young, and he's a left tackle. I'm kind of cheating. Like tackles get paid, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, but if Gray's able is great, then that's awesome. There's nothing. I hope Charles Cross and Gray Zabel both get paid a ton. That only means really good things for the Seahawks. So yeah, I have to say Charles Cross will probably get paid more if I get career earnings and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think Gray Zabel is going to be a great player in this league, and he's obviously going to make a lot of money as well. And I hope so. Right? That would be phenomenal.
yeah, super excited to see Gray, man, especially in week one. All right, so let's talk about week one, man. So the 49ers are coming in town. These guys had our number, man, for a long time. We did beat them last year, which was really good. But hey, I don't remember the last home game that we beat the 49ers, man. I don't know when that was, right? Maybe it was in the last couple of years ago. But hey, what are your predictions for this game? Opening game. I might be there. I'll try my best to be there. But what are your predictions, man? Give us your predictions, like score
Yeah,
predictions.
I think. Yeah, definitely. I think Seattle gets it done. I think Seattle gets it done. I think they're gonna win 20-14. And I think they get a nice week one victory against the 49ers at home, kind of get that home 49ers demon off our back, because you're right, we for some reason they have had our number, and they've had our number in Seattle more often than not lately. And so I'd like for us to get out there, get a quick statement win. I think some people are still really high on the 49ers. I don't think they're going to be a bad team at all. I don't think I see them as, a real threat in the NFC this year.
Mm.
Um, yeah, 20-14. Seattle gets a win. Gets ready for a big game in Pittsburgh at 1-0 for sure. I think Ken Walker's gonna have a big game. I think we're gonna run the ball well. That I think it's obviously it's gonna be dependent. I think Ken Walker has a big game. I'm
How many rushing
thinking
yards?
75 plus. 75 plus. I
Mm.
think he gets in the end zone. Um, I think it's going to be a big game for Ken Walker, and I do think the Seahawks get a nice victory week one.
Nice. Okay, so Ken Walker. So you're saying who's the star of the game? Like who's going to be like the star of the game on offense and defense?
I think Ken Walker has the biggest game on offense, and then on defense, I think. I don't think about that. I don't know. I like the defensive unit as a whole. I think
Mm.
they're all gonna have to play a big part. It's hard for me to say the corners, just because I think the 49ers gonna have to come out with an interesting game plan with their lack of receivers right now.
Yeah.
They're gonna do that though. We trust them. I think that's like we trust them to do their thing against a bunch of non-starting receivers. Or were not starters last year, I should say. But I'm gonna say the D line. I'm gonna say the D line. Let's just go the D line. I would hope that we can maybe just dominate both sides of the ball up front. That would be the dream scenario, that we go out there and just dominate the trenches on both sides. To me, I'd come back here next Monday and just I would be so excited. It would mean so many good things. So
Yeah.
hopefully the offensive line, and then of course statistically Ken Walker's could probably get a lot of love. I think he's gonna have a really good game.
Yeah. Well, my predictions is 24-7. I think Seahawks win this game, easily. I think Byron Murphy is going to be the star of the game, the biggest star of the game, man. I think this is his coming out party. The guy looks pissed off, that he was playing nose the whole of last year. I think he's going to get his opportunity to rush the passer. and I think he's gonna have a breakout game, man. I think this is the game that we see Byron Murphy, and everybody says like, "Hey, who is that guy?" Right? This is when he gets national attention. I think so. So I'm gonna go with Byron Murphy there, and from the offensive side, I'm gonna go JSN, man. JSN. I think he's gonna have a monster game. I think 100 yards easily. On 7 receptions. I think he's gonna have a monster game with a play action pass. And because I think what San Francisco is going to do is they're going to try to load the box up when we run on them and Kenon drives them crazy, and then basically JSN's going to eat. So I think that's going to be really good. I think it's going to be a good game for Sam Darnold. And yeah, man, let's go get this. I'm super excited, pumped up about this season, man. Tommy, what do you think? What do you want to see from this new coaching staff from Clint Kubiak? What do you want to see from them specifically? Like, and like at the end of the game, what will make you think? What will make you think like, hey, we got our guy. We're good in play calling. So, what do you want to see?
Balance. I want to see balance. I want to see efficiency. Maybe a
Mm.
little, like I love all the motion, pre-snap, eye candy we've done before. I want to see that carry over into the regular season. I'm looking at that Chiefs game. I keep thinking about that Chiefs game when that was our one real look at the starters in the preseason. I want to feel that way leaving week one about the offense that I did leaving that game. Now that we have it in its entirety, obviously they're not going to go perfect on offense, or not going to punt the ball. Like it's a football game still, but I want to leave feeling really positive about the balance and the looks, the pre-snap looks of this offense. Again, I want that. I want it to feel efficient. That would be
Mhm.
great.
Nice. Yeah, me too, man. I just want to feel like, hey, we have an identity, right? We're running the ball, right? We have an identity on offense because it's been a while, man. I don't remember the last time, like, hey, you thought who the Seahawks were. I mean, it was, we tried to, get this scheme up with Shane Waldron, and it didn't work. The guy was, I think, for what it's worth, I think Shane Waldron was a great scripter. He would script the first 7 plays, and it would work. He would get a touchdown, and I would be like, "Damn, man, this guy can script plays." But as the game goes on, he would fumble, and he would break apart. But I just want to see an identity throughout the game, right? I want to see balance, as you said. I want to see toughness, man. I want that toughness because that's what Seattle's about. Tough football. Running the football, and playing to our strengths. So yeah, and I want to see Mike McDonald's crazy schemes that I saw in Baltimore. Man, I think he took it a little bit easy on the guys the first year, and he was like, hey, let's learn this. Because do you remember that press conference when Mike McDonald was like, "Oh yeah, we got to make things simpler." He was trying to do too much in the beginning, but he made things simpler for them, and then the defense became a little bit better. But I want to see those crazy schemes from Mike McDonald.
Yeah, and he's had now an opportunity to kind of get his personnel in more too, which I'm excited. Defense, we've added a lot of different weapons. I'm excited to see how he uses Eamon Worry this year. That's kind of be kind of our Swiss Army knife. He's not just going to sit in the back all game, and he's not just going to be in the box all game. I'm excited to see how we utilize him. He's going to be a fun player. And yeah, I'm excited to see it all. Schematically, I am excited to see both sides of the ball, and see how it goes.
All right, yeah, you guys heard it, man. I'm super excited about this game. Tune in to watch this. We're gonna be here the week after to react into all the news. It's gonna be a win, hopefully. And hopefully my prediction is right. And Ray, remember, Tommy, we're having the competition, man. The season, prediction competition. So I mean, I think you beat me last year. So I'm coming here for a revenge game. So I want
All
to win
right.
this. I want to win this one.
All right. We'll have to keep track this year. This year we'll have to keep a record. We'll have to keep an official record this year, so we
Yeah.
know week in, week out where we're at.
Yep, we're gonna keep a record, and our producer Dominic is gonna do that for us as well. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, I hope you guys enjoy the game. Football is back. Seahawks football is back, and we'll see you guys next week. 12 men out.